May 8th, 2024 at 7:02 p.m. And can we please get members present?
Manufo Leah Inga Anawai,
Aye.
Aaron Rashba,
Aye.
Anthony Sujisaka,
Here.
Andrea Jordan,
Here.
Shakil Ali.
Here. And we will ask Mr. Valenti to please lead us in the pledge.
Please rise. Face the flag. Hand over your heart. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Valenti. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
I have one change on the agenda I just need to ask for. On item 9D, there's an FMLA request from Aubrey Duffy. The return date needs to be changed from June 13th to June 7th. Please.
Okay. I motion to approve the agenda with the update.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Unanimously approved. And I'll start on the right with our board member acknowledgements and commendations.
I am grateful for this weather today. It's been so nice. I hope it remains that way. I know we had some storm weather on Saturday. We are in the last month, I would say, of school. And so I know that the students are doing CASP and a lot of testing going on. And so, for the parents out there, making sure that our students are showing up to school, hopefully fed and well rested and prepared for those exams. I had the privilege of attending I guess we call it a play/musical at FDR maybe like 2 weeks ago, I believe, for Matilda and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I don't know what I was expecting walking in there, and I took my daughter with me, and she said she wanted to transfer schools just so that she could do that as well. And so I was like, oh, no, that's not how it works. But I want to give a shout out to all the students that participated and all the parents that were practicing with them at home. It was such an amazing show, an amazing turnout. It was very, it was just very, amazing to just see these students and all the efforts that they put in and all the practice that they did, and it came out amazing. I'm hoping to see some of them on Broadway someday, and where I actually pay way more money to see the show. Other than that, I'm looking forward to tonight's meeting.
I guess we're going this direction. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody. May the 4th be with you. And then I think since we won't see each other before Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day, everybody.
I want to thank Trustee Jordan for mentioning the Matilda and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang performance at FDR, which I was obligated to attend since my daughter was in the production, but I was thrilled by her performance and all the performances of the students who were in that. And just want to note that that was a great partnership with Spindrift School for the Arts in Pacifica, and the FDR PTA worked really hard to organize the fun run as its chief fundraiser, doing other fundraising, and was able to invest the money in that program. And I think it was a huge success. I would definitely encourage other schools in the district to look at it, and just really nice to see another form of arts in our schools. And I also just want to say I had the honor of attending the track meet that the middle schools participated in 2 weekends in a row, 2 Fridays in a row. And it was wonderful to see so many middle school students out there competing. So thank you to all the participants. Thank you to the organizers. Thank you to Westmore High School, which I think partnered with us to make it a great event.
Happy AANHPI Heritage Month, and also love hearing about the amazing collaborations that are in place. Love to see more of that, and just really want to extend my appreciation to our educators. And I saw that we're also celebrating a lot of the nurses, our caretakers in the community. So a daughter of a nurse, so I know it's such an important job. And I just want to commend you all as we wind down, as Trustee Jordan mentioned. We are winding down to just a matter of weeks, and just want to shout out all of the teachers, the families, all of the administrators and staff to stay strong and finish strong, and know that you're truly appreciated as many of our students move up and move on. We're very grateful for all of the hard work that is happening. I continue to be very proud of our district, and so wishing you all continued blessings.
Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge all our teachers, and that, this is Teacher Appreciation Week. And I looked up some more ideas to celebrate the week. So hopefully some of these things have already happened, but if not, here's some ideas for people who are listening. You can write a thank you note to your child's teacher. Give your child's teacher a gift card to their favorite store or restaurant. Volunteer your time in your child's classroom. Donate school supplies to your child's teacher. So those are just some ideas. Superintendent, comments?
Yes. Happy Staff Appreciation Week. We really are thrilled that we have such a dedicated team in our district, and we appreciate them and hope that this isn't the only time we share our appreciation for our staff. In addition to what was already shared, yesterday was the TRP band concert, and I attended that yesterday morning. Yes, yeah. Trying to remember what day it is. And then also open house for middle school is next Thursday. It ranges between 5:30 and 7:30. So check with your school site to see what times your school site has their open house. It's a great way to see all the work that has happened and get to talk to some teachers and see what's happening at each school site. And then this Friday is our Student of the Year celebration. And so I want to thank the coordinators, Roxanne Hannon, Aubrey Duffy, and Sean Higgins, who have put together this event that we'll be attending on Friday. And that's it for me.
Okay, so item communications C, persons wishing to address the board. This portion of the agenda is available for individuals to comment on or address the board on any issue that is under the board's jurisdiction and not on the agenda. The maximum time allowed for any speaker is usually 2 minutes. Okay, it's all right. Okay, so the first person we have is Nancy Zerner, okay, librarian at FRS, Fernando Rivera. Yes.
All right, thank you. Good evening, JESD board members. And for those of you who don't know me, I am Nancy Zerner, the librarian at Fernando Rivera Intermediate School, one of the district librarians. So, hi. It's my 9th year as the librarian, 14th in the district, a little 12-year stint in Hawaii. And I came back and Mr. Valente said, do you want to be a librarian? And I said, absolutely. What do I do? So I'm only here to say thank you. Thank you for providing money and services for libraries. It is so needed at this day and age in our schools, not only just for books, but a place for students to be, to gather, to socialize, social emotional learning. I will say this, the year before I started at Fernando, 2,363 books were checked out. Not shabby. As of today at Fernando, 14,005 books were checked out. Kids are reading, despite what we envision in the world. They're reading. And they're reading things that they love. And thank you to Michael, we've got this parcel tax that allows equity among all of our kids so that every single student has access to free new books across the board, despite what school site funds allocated. It's a place to be themselves. They get to gather, they get to be, support each other, and we almost lost it. So thank you Sandy, for providing and keeping our space. It's vital for the health and environment for the students. I invite you all to come. A few of you have been there before, but the library is open all day, every day for anyone who wants to come. So please do stop by. It's a great place. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Doreen Franklin, parent from Fernando Rivera School.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Darlene Franklin. I am a parent from Fernando Rivera Middle School, Daniel Webster, now middle school. He's an 8th grader, and I'm here on behalf of my son, Baron Franklin. I want to say thank you to the district for getting the funds to make a track for them at Fernando Rivera. I do want to say thank you for responding to my complaint. I am the first parent to file a complaint because my son did get injured on that track, which should not have happened. I want to state there are some solutions you all need to put in place. We have a fun run coming up where they are trying to raise $30,000. They state in there it's also for new student enrichment programs and campus beautification projects. And we're almost there at the goal right now, which is great. $25,462 has been raised over the last few weeks. Really quickly, a solution would be to post signage on that track. It is a granite track. It is not practical for the use of Fernando Rivera Middle School students. We had to run track over at Westmore High School when we could have done it here instead if it was done. I understand there's a cost, but I ask that you please partner with the parents. I'm outgoing, but please partner with the parents and the staff as well. Informing the staff is not good enough, so I'm asking please to put up signage on that track. It has happened to other students. My son happened to be the one to get a broken collarbone. It is mending. So I'm asking you all to please partner, look at ways to make that track an all-weather track. The school does not do cross-country tournaments. They do track, sprinting, so they do need somewhere to work out, and they can't at Westmore. I'm happy to help. I'm going on to Union High School, Jefferson Union High School, so I'll be involved there, but I'm happy to still help where I can. You have parents who have abilities to do fundraising. Fernando is showing that they're doing that right now. So please partner with them, have these stakeholders involved. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Franklin. Do we have any other speaker cards? Okay. Item 6A, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Unanimously approved. Item 6C, Resolution 240528 to excuse Manufo Liana Ana Ai from regular board meeting, April 24th, 2024. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve item 6C.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor, this requires a roll call.
Ms. Leah Inga Anawai,
Aye.
Mr. Rashba,
Aye.
Mr. Sujisaka,
Aye.
Ms. Jordan,
Aye.
Mr. Ali.
Aye. Unanimously approved. Item 6D, Resolution number 240508B, Classified Employees Week. The administration recommends adoption of resolution number 2405. Oh, did I skip?
Grundy. Resolution
okay, good.
24/5/28.
Thank you. Item 6D, Resolution number 240528A, to excuse Andrea Jordan from regular board meeting, April 24th, 2024.
Before anyone makes a motion, I know I don't, I'm not required to make a comment, but can I make a comment really quickly? Is that okay? I just want to say, like, last meeting, I was unable to make it because my car got broken into at the Daly City BART station. And so I just implore anyone, obviously we live in the Bay Area, I'm sure everyone's heard about the break-ins. Just be careful. Make sure you don't leave anything in your car. In my case, I didn't. They actually didn't take anything of importance. They actually just took a first aid kit, which after breaking 2 windows, I'm assuming they needed Band-Aids. I'm saying that just to say it was unfortunate that I was missing the meeting, but I want to make sure that everyone knows, like, you are not safe with leaving your car anywhere. It could happen anywhere, and so you want to make sure that you're not leaving anything important in your car, and you're making sure that you hopefully park in a place that has cameras, because in my case, there were no cameras, thus me then missing the meeting, dealing with my car situation. So I apologize for missing the meeting, and we can move forward with the motion.
Okay. Do we have a first and a second?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution as stated.
I second.
Roll call.
Ms. Leah Inga Anawai,
Aye.
Mr. Rashba,
Aye.
Mr. Sujisaka,
Aye.
Ms. Jordan,
Aye.
Mr. Ali.
Aye. Unanimously approved. Item 6E, resolution number 240508B, Classified Employees Week. The administration recommends adoption of resolution number 240508B, designating the week of May 19th through 25th, 2024 as Classified Employees Week. We have a motion to approve.
I motion to approve.
Second.
Can we get another roll call?
Ms. Leah Inga Anawai,
Aye.
Mr. Rashba,
Aye.
Mr. Sujisaka,
Aye.
Ms. Jordan,
Aye.
Mr. Ali.
Aye, unanimously approved. Item 7B, Student Services Updates. Ms. Stephanie Martinez, Program Director for Student Services, will provide information about the anti-bullying efforts in the district. Good evening.
Hi, I'm actually co-presenting with Pam Scott as well. So she's here with me. I'm excited and looking forward to our conversation. And yeah, thanks for welcoming me tonight. So for those of you who have been on this journey with me for quite some time, whether you took moments away from JESD or not, we've been implementing PBIS since 2015. We started working with that framework, and it's something that taught me a lot, even as a school counselor, about behavior, where it comes from, and how to respond to it in the best way in regards to young people. So one of the quotes, it changes a lot, but it is pretty specific to a lot of times when we're thinking about students and what they can't do, we teach them. But for some reason, when it comes to behavior, something that's unwanted, undesired, or something that we taught them to do right, but they still make a bad choice, we have a very hard time to consider it a teaching moment. And so I just wanted us to kind of really resonate with that. I do believe my teams and my sites resonate with that. But I know that this is, something at a larger scale across the nation. It's not just in any particular school. But I really want you to keep that in mind tonight when we talk about what we're trying to accomplish in our buildings, how we respond to students, and how we think about the age group that we're serving. I always remember we're serving preschool through 8th grade. They're very young. They're very impressionable, but they're also teachable, right? So for me, behavior is something you learn. So why don't we teach it?
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about bullying. So the definition, bullying is unwanted aggressive behavior among school-aged children that involves a real or perceived power imbalance, and the behavior is repeated or has the potential to be repeated over time. So in order to be considered bullying, it must be deliberate, aggressive acts targeting a particular individual repeatedly, over time, or a single severe aggressive act, and it involves a power difference between the bully and the target. So bullying happens. It happens to our students. It even happens to us as adults, and it's not okay. However, when the term bullying is used to describe every situation in which someone says or does something that hurts another person's feelings, it minimizes the seriousness of real bullying, as well as the experiences of people who really are the victims of bullying. So overuse of the term is damaging and distracting the issue at hand, as well as the legitimacy of true bullying. So anyone who has spent substantial time with children knows that they can be often unkind to one another. Even kids who consider themselves best friends sometimes behave in unkind ways. So it's important to distinguish between rude, mean, and bullying so that we all know what to pay attention to and when to intervene. So let's look at how these three terms differ from one another. When students are rude, they inadvertently say or do something that hurts someone else. So rudeness amongst students might look more like burping in someone's face, or jumping ahead in line, or bragging about achieving the highest grade. On their own, any of these behaviors could appear as elements of bullying, but when looked at in context, incidents of rudeness are usually spontaneous, inconsiderate, based on thoughtlessness, poor manners, but they're not actually meant to hurt someone. So when students are mean, they purposely say or do something to hurt someone once or maybe twice. The main distinction between rude and mean behavior has to do with intention. While rudeness is often unintentional, mean behavior very much aims to hurt or depreciate someone. Students are mean to each other when they criticize clothing or appearance, intelligence, coolness, or just about anything else they can find to denigrate. Meanness also sounds like words spoken in anger, impulsive cruelty that is often regretted in short order. Very often, mean behavior in students is motivated by angry feelings and or misguided goal or of elevating their status in comparison to the people they're putting down. When students are bullying, they are intentionally aggressive, and this behavior is repeated over time and involves an imbalance of power. Experts agree that bullying entails three key elements: an intent to harm, a power imbalance, and repeated acts or threats of aggressive behavior. Students who bully say or do something intentionally hurtful to others, and they keep doing it with no sense of regret or remorse, even when targets of bullying show or express the hurt or tell the aggressor to stop. Most students play more than one role in bullying over time. In some cases, they may be directly involved in bullying as one bullies another or being bullied themselves, or in situations where they may witness bullying and play an assisting or defending role. Every situation is different, so some kids are both bullied and bullied by others.
I thought it was fine. It was necessary for us to go through that because we also struggle in teaching our students the language around levels of harm, right? So there's been a lot of situations where we've also understood the label of calling a young person a bully when they haven't been can also have long-term effects and can also then in turn make the student feel like, well, if people don't think I'm a good person, then I'm not going to be, right? So we do try to have students understand the differences. We do also try to teach them that they're not bad or good. We're not here to determine that, but they did something that hurt somebody else. So what can we do to make it right? And I would say a majority of our students are always willing to make it right and understand and can reflect. But there's a lot of different aspects that play into repair. And so we have a lot of things going on to do that. It's not just one role. It's not just counselors. It's not just admin. It's everyone participating. It's a school culture and practices that we have to have school-wide so that students get what they need and they feel comfortable, they feel safe, they feel supported. And it's not just one thing works for all. So with that said, I just tried to summarize some of the lessons that we also try to Well, we deliver as a counseling department, but what we try to do is there's so many things for us to cover every year. So we try to cover things in a way that's making connections to student experiences and also teaching them skills that doesn't sound like something that's not cool to do, but just giving them the experiences and hope that they can replicate those experiences that they learn from healthy relationships lessons, how to have a conflict conversation, how to repair that on their own, lessons that they can learn about what it means to be in a community and why we have community circles in some of our classrooms, right? It also teaches them our bystander roles, and we might call it something different in middle school because they receive information about being a bystander, an ally. We're encouraging allyship, which is somebody who stands up for somebody else, or if they don't feel like they have the power, they go and get someone to help. And it could be a peer, it could be an adult. But we try to integrate some of these things in lessons that also play a part for other education that we want to teach our kids around racism and using words that really hurt and harm. So if you can see in our middle school side, we do elevate the lessons. We do get more specific about, what kinds of behaviors we see and what's acceptable, what's not, what to do if it happens. But we're also trying to integrate practices that they can use for their life. They could take this stuff home and use it with their sibling conflict or parental conflict. I get a lot of feedback when we do events, and families are also very appreciative of, oh, my child came home and talked about my feelings and why are my feelings and feelings go away. And they talk about these things when they go home, or how to work out things. Or I've had parents say, yeah, my child saw me get upset and they actually told me how to have a restorative conversation, right? So this is what we hope to instill in our youth. And I think that is the way to go about it. In regards to teaching students so they know that they have the ability to change, and we're there to support that change if they did make a mistake or, got into a bad situation. We also have programs. So I wanted to kind of cover, for those of you who maybe see the foot marks on the elementary school grounds, we have peacemaker programs at all of our sites where we go through multiple practices that they can use on the yard, because that's usually when we see the most conflict. So I just wanted to highlight some of the programs that are at all of our elementary schools and that are at all of our middle school programs. I also wanted to highlight this year, and in years past, we were really focused on how do we get better results in regards to our student behavior and addressing student behavior through collaboration. So we have a restorative practice team at every middle school that has come to meet with Pam and I, and it's been great to have her support and truly understanding what restorative practices are, and that it's not always the best practice. Like, we have a varied amount of practices, because sometimes when students don't have a relationship to repair, that isn't appropriate. So I don't want to misuse restorative practices. Just wanted to highlight that. So we're continuing that work. We also pulled together, another highlight, our district improvement team. We are really focused on middle school because that's where we're having higher numbers of behavior that's presenting as conflict and aggression. So we started to talk about what are we doing and how are we responding and how can we get better at our responses. So on the middle school side, it's mostly teaming and different things that we're doing as far as school-wide efforts. And then on the left side, I feel like more of our counselors are focused on sustaining the things that we've been implementing for quite some time now. Other things we noticed that sometimes students act out because they don't have support. So we have now created and are fully implementing some type of student group at elementary and middle school, whether they call themselves ambassadors or buddies. How can we set up student support so that students who are acting out, if that's their need, getting, somebody who's there for them, who checks in on them, who's a peer-to-peer kind of influence, then this is the way to go about it. We also have students transitioning from different parts of the world, and physical interactions might be something that they do at home or did at their other school. So we're also trying to welcome students and and help them adjust to the expectations of our schools and what's acceptable and what we would not like to see. We also have been starting big buddies, and this is more related to like reading buddies or support buddies, more on the academic end. But the counselors have been really great on pairing positive role models with new students or students who are struggling to get that kind of support on other areas of the school day. We also have student-led team building meetings. So lots of our students are getting together. They're playing games, they're interacting, they're doing things with one another during lunchtime or during free time. It's a really positive way to have students make friends and also to hold each other accountable when they're playing games. Play fairly when they're doing activities. Don't make fun of somebody if they, said an answer that you thought was different than yours. So these are all moments for them to interact and support each other and learn positive ways of having relationships. And then we do have specialized services, the outside mental health student support services. This is very specific to middle school. A couple years ago, we started to see different types of behaviors in middle school. And so we've contracted with Youth Services Bureau and Northeast Medical Center to provide student groups that provide other outlets for them to get their needs met through music or through learning mindfulness and meditation. We have various groups that we run, and those are also serving kids who have either not shown behavior that we like and they need to learn mindfulness or they need to learn some skills to help manage, or students that need a little more support making friends or, just adjusting to our school and having positive peer relationships. So we're doing that. Some of the things as admin and all of us try is to respond to student conflict in an appropriate way. So other responses, not just all the things that we're doing in the classroom and school-wide. We have stay away contracts or agreements. If it's like, that's most appropriate, then that happens. Or we will refer them into the groups that I just talked about, or tiered interventions, 2 or 3. Or we do work with outside resources. So anytime something comes up that just feels high level, feels large scale, feels very, similar to what we were talking about, like bullying behavior, we do reach out. And these aren't the only agencies. I've also had families reach out to me and support, or we have other recommended partners that come and consult with us. But for the most part, I do feel like when we lead and we educate and we respond, our students and families respond. When we have outside folks come in, it's great to have that, but it's really about the work that we do every day. And then there's higher level responses, of course, if the act fits. And that's all for this topic for my presentation, but we'll stay up here for questions.
Thank you once again. Before I give my comments, do we have any questions or comments from my board colleagues?
I just want to say thank you for the presentation. One of the main reasons why I actually joined the board was because at the time my TKer had experienced, I would call it wasn't bullying. I would call it, let's see, what are the options here? I would say it was probably mean. And I remember actually talking to Trustee Ali, talking to the then superintendent, and trying to understand what was being done, because obviously as a Black woman raising Black children, I knew that I wasn't the first parent that may have complained about that, or as another student having dealt with that. And my goal was like, okay, well, if it's happening to my kid, what other kids is it happening to? And how can I help prevent that, or at least, help get to a point where we acknowledge it and we work with the parents, like you said earlier. And so it just feels really good that we've bucketed these things separately, because there is a difference between being rude or mean or bullying. And sometimes the kids don't even see that. My daughter now is a peacemaker. And so it's like coming full circle. And every day she comes home and she tells me about all the things that they're doing. And it's funny, I have to know about the bad things that may happen, but it's funny, I feel like I react way more like like, I guess, angry or just like appalled. And she's like, oh, it's okay. This is how we dealt with it. And I was like, oh, well, so I probably need to take some classes and get some information. So I just want to say thank you. It's showing that what you're doing is working. And I look forward to hopefully reducing the amount of, I guess, issues because we are working proactively to prevent them from coming up in the first place.
Some comments. Thank you both for the presentation. It was informative, and it's clear that we have programs that are thorough and very nuanced, in dealing with bullying, which is really encouraging. However, I will say that perception and that culture is not always felt on school campuses. And this is something I think about a lot, because when I have talked with parents and asked them if they've let me know that they're leaving the school district, then usually the top reason is that their child was bullied and they felt that the school did not deal with it in an appropriate way. And so I think the programs that we have as a district are wonderful. However, I would like to see in starting with on our website, the last time I checked, there was not a clear statement about bullying on the site, and I think we're actually required to do that by Ed Code. So I really would like to see that on our site. I'd also like to see just a clear statement that our schools do not tolerate bullying on our schools. Outside this building, when I came in tonight, there was a sign, Daly City United Against Hate. And those are sentiments I certainly applaud. And I think we need a similar clear message to reinforce the culture at all of our schools that this is not something that we will tolerate on our campuses.
I love all the comments, and I'm very grateful for the presentation. This is also why I ran. Because my daughter was a student at MHT, and I continue to be very grateful to Ms. Kawili, Mr. Deutsch, who are still there, who helped me navigate this space. And I love how you are able to share with us, and hopefully other parents and families that are watching, how we differentiate between mean, rude, and bullying, because it gets very blurry. There's a lot of overlap. And I think just hearing what you're saying, not just posting things on our website, but also including families in some way and giving them tools and checking in with them. Because I will tell you, I was not equipped with those tools. I was filled with a lot of emotion. I didn't know how to use the right words. And in my mind, it was just, oh, this is discriminatory, or this is bullying. But as 10 years has gone by, my daughter's now an adult, I realized that hearing what you're saying today needs to be heard, just needs to continue to be heard, taught, and really established as a foundational piece for families, because they need to be able to communicate that message and articulate it with their children, and they need to understand it too, because in order for them to deliver that message, and just speaking from personal experience, if they can't deliver the message and understand it, it will not land. And that has to live and breathe in the school, in the classroom, at home, and in the community. Otherwise, it will not be able to really be established and practiced. When my daughter left here, she went to Summit. She was still being bullied. And I was so glad that she was able to find the courage, and she was still in touch with her teachers at MHT. And she ended up creating a program called GRIT, which she still does in our summer program. And GRIT stands for Girls Rise, Inspire, and Thrive. But it takes one to do that and to learn and be equipped with tools. So I'm very grateful for you to share this, because I will tell you, if you were saying this to this mother 10 years ago, I would be so confused and overwhelmed, but I understand the message today. I imagine that there are parents out there that need to hear this message more, and to be able to learn how to embrace it with their families and children. So I'm extremely grateful for the work that you guys continue to do, and look forward to us establishing how we can expand these efforts and reach more that need to have that help and support. Thank you.
I just want to say I really appreciate how much our board members care, and this meeting is very important because we've been working together for years doing this kind of work. So the first thing I want to say is I'm grateful that we have you here to head up these efforts, because you're not just saying some flowery words, like you know what you're talking about and you're really in the trenches doing this work. What I saw from what you showed us is that we're covering all areas of bullying prevention. We're covering prevention, identifying it, and then having interventions. So I think all those are good. The most important part, though, is prevention and peace building, right? So we're even covering that in certain ways. So I think there may be some ways that we can focus more on tier one and our messaging around it. That's what I'm hearing from Trustee Rashba, right? So I was thinking about, so MTSS, multi-tiered systems of supports. We want to create bully-free zones. You know, we don't have to wait for something to happen and then have conflict resolution. We should be focusing on creating safe and welcoming environments. And I think that we are doing a good job of it, and things do happen. And they happen at all schools, public schools, private schools, elementary, high school, even things are happening on the college campuses right now, right? So we know that, excuse me, but it's how we're going to respond and not just react. You know, we're going to respond and we're going to be proactive, like Trustee Jordan said. So I have a question with all of that. Do you know if the county is doing anything with the Respect for All initiative like we used to do?
You're talking about that Respect 24/7? Or
20, Respect for All, where you have the campaign. For instance, with Trustee Rashbar brought up, every school would have a Respect for All policy that the whole school works on. I don't want to start talking too much because we've been doing a good job of not micromanaging, right? But everyone here, I can hear how much they care about this. And this is the reason why half of this board got on the board, or more than half, excuse me. So I think we should have more conversations, and we can all give more input into what we want to see more on the tier one level, just what universal practices are done at the schools to prevent bullying from happening in the first place.
So to comment, no, I haven't heard from the county regarding that, but yes, I agree with all the comments. I mean, you know, if we could control behavior, a lot of things would be different about this world, right? But it's not possible. I haven't seen it fully be controlled unless, you know, more restrictions happen. So I just want to be mindful of, you know, how we approach this, how we address it, how we stand up to it also allows for learning and for students not to feel targeted or labeled by their behavior at such a young age. So I feel like we need a lot more conversations, because I don't want to just make statements or make programs without my teams and their experience, because they're at the schools the most. So I do plan on continuing this work, because every year when we have incidents that happen, we all take it home, right? So I don't want anybody's children to be hurt, just as, probably not as much, but just as much, I feel, as a parent, right, or guardian. So I hear you guys. There's always work to be done. And it's not to say that it's impossible, but, you know, it's very hard. It's very hard.
I just want to also add that there are a lot of things that happen behind the scenes, especially with our minors, and things are confidential and whatnot. And sometimes things go beyond what the education system can do, and it starts getting into juvenile justice, right? So even in juvenile justice, they have something now called least restrictive placement. So anybody that knows special ed knows we have least restrictive environment. So everyone's trying to figure out now how to not be punitive and punish. How do we help people? How do we give them the support that they need? And like, excuse me, like you're saying, not start labeling them at too young of an age where they feel like now they're getting into a fixed mindset. You know, so it's controversial. And then we know there's always outliers in any industry, any walk of life, right? So I tend not to focus on just the outliers and just look at the prevention. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So keep up the great work, and thank you.
And actually, if I may comment, because I'm just based on what you said, and just I actually really appreciate what your team is doing, just based on what you said, especially around not giving those labels. Because I think from working in high school, one of the privileges of working in middle and high school is so in elementary school, you know, they're all doing these behaviors. They don't know they're learning the world. Middle school, I mean, I've had a straight A student, and I tell this story to a lot of people. I've had a straight A student start cutting class one day, and it was because she had an online boyfriend was videoing him in the bathroom. And then in high school, they have now set where they are going to be in their society without even becoming adults. And that's what I saw a lot of in high school. And so I really appreciate the intention behind what you're doing at our younger ages to really make sure those kids don't think, oh, well, I'm an F student, or, oh, I'm a bully. I'm now on this path and that's where I'm going to stay. Because that's what I saw in high school a lot. And that's what I want to prevent. That's why I came on the board too, but not for that same reason, but definitely for the reasons of how can we change the messaging to our kids, but also prevent.
Yeah, I just want to, I will follow up with the board in an information bulletin about how you can provide input. I think as a board, you just give us guidance and we do the operations. But if you have ideas that you want to share with us, you can do that directly with me, and then I can share it with the student services team, and then I'll give more clarification in the information bulletin. And then as secretary of the board, I just want to remind our agenda, we have 3 more presentations and they're 10 minutes each scheduled. So if we can just be mindful, we also have a closed session. So, and we have quite a few folks here for a lot of the agenda items. So I just want to remind everyone of our time.
Yeah, and I'm going to stay up here because I'm going to be supporting my colleague, Luisa Santos. So I'm back here again, Community Schools Update. I'll just be here for support and if there's any questions from the board.
Thanks for that intro, Stephanie. My co-presenter, Marcela Miranda from San Mateo County of Office of Ed, she couldn't be here today, so I'm going to have Stephanie support me. So good evening, board trustees, superintendents, members of the JESD community in person and tuning in. Again, my name is Luisa Santos, and I'm the Community Schools Coordinator for the district. And it's been a while since my last presentation, so I'm here to give an update, some celebrations and acknowledgements, a little bit of the survey data that we've been collecting from our Assets and Needs Survey for the families. I'm going to be giving a brief overview of the grant components, the implementation grant components, because that's what's to come, and the timeline, and then I'll reserve some time for Q&A. And I just want to highlight this quote from Black queer poet, author, and activist Audre Lorde: "Without community, there is no liberation." So this is heart work. This is what we do in order to get our people free. And this is, we're all about social justice. So for celebrations and acknowledgements, these are some of the projects and events that we were able to do this year. We hosted several donation drives. So if we could play the video on the right, please. That was a back to school supplies drive in collaboration with Vibes and Smiles. So thank you to Amanda Dejano from Vibes and Smiles, and also O2 Body Fit, a gym in Daly City. They hosted separate back to school supplies, and we were able to collect and distribute to a lot of our JESD families. In November, I hosted a Halloween costume drive. Oftentimes, our kids just wear a costume once, and then they discard it or they don't know what to do with it. So I asked the schools, hey, can you hold on to them? And I was able to collect a lot of Halloween costumes, and we ended up giving it to Daly City Partnership to store near Price Street. So that was really successful. And coming up in May this month is Period Poverty Awareness Week. So I plan on hosting a Period Poverty Awareness Week drive where we can collect sanitary napkins and tampons for our female identified youth. Next slide, please.
Probably because it was on the video.
Oh, because of the video, it's going to replay. This past December, we hosted an immigrant resource night. This was a collaboration with Jefferson Union High School District, Bayshore Elementary School District, Pacifica School District, and Bayshore School District. And we had over 100 people in the pouring rain get resources about legal aid, legal services, immigration, library, parks and rec, library services, mental health. Yeah, just a lot of different sectors. And it was a beautiful collaboration with our local school districts in getting our families, especially our immigrant families and newcomer families, what they need to thrive here in Daly City. Next slide, please. Or am I on now? I am on. All right. We've also hosted a lot of parent/caregiver cafes this year. On the top left, we hosted a Know Your Housing Rights workshop, which was well attended. Thank you, SBA, for hosting it, and also Faith in Action Bay Area for partnering. We also got a lawyer from Community Legal Services of East Palo Alto, CLESPA, to come and speak about housing and tenant rights. And we had live translators and live translation devices. We had a lot of questions. We had a lot of storytelling, and it was just a very powerful event. We also hosted a parent cafe about vaping prevention through Catch My Breath, which was in partnership with CVS Pharmacy. We just hosted our most recent one, Digital Tattoo, which was about online safety and digital citizenship. And we also hosted a parent cafe on CalFresh benefits and ways to get free food in the area. So all have been well attended, and a lot of these topics that we were able to carry out this year were generated from the families that we gave feedback surveys to. Second Harvest Food Bank distribution. Thank you to Second Harvest of Silicon Valley, Amanda Johnson, Pastor Stan, Lions Club, members of the local churches that have been continuously volunteering and supporting me on site, our family liaisons, some of our counselors, Stephanie, Miss Jennings, Jaime Barajas, the custodian. This was our first distribution at TRP, and this was in the pouring rain, and we served over 300 community members. The line was this long for the entirety of the duration, which was 3 hours. So we have been doing this every month, once a month at TRP. Our last one is coming up May 15th. And then we're going to put a pause in June, July, and then we're going to pick it up back in the fall. And also in the fall, we've partnered up with Daly City Partnership, still in conjunction with Second Harvest, to start a new distribution site at Garden Village. And when the construction completes at Westlake Elementary as well. So we're really trying to be strategic and intentional about where we launch these food distribution sites. And yeah, it's just been a labor of love, so I wanted to celebrate that. These are some of the numbers that Amanda Johnson from Second Harvest Food Bank was able to provide. You can see the households, children, adults, seniors within that household, the total number of people, and then the total pounds of food. So we are going to be transitioning to a more farmers market style coming up in the fall to help reduce waste, because there's a lot of cardboard box waste and a lot of wasted produce. So we're going to transition into sort of phasing out drive-throughs, having walk-up distributions like you see, and having farmers market style so community members can just pick what they want instead of getting a set box of produce and they may discard what they do or don't like. We also started a community care closet. Everything you see in these pictures has been donated by staff or community members or local community orgs. So this was launched in January, and families are referred through our family liaison referral system. So if our office staff or teachers or counselors are able to identify a family in need, then they are able to then book an appointment, a shopping appointment, where they can come to the bungalow. And thank you to Bill Heath and Sandy and our maintenance for providing the wall dividers and some of the shelving. So we have a divided space in the bungalow for just the care closet and then separate for our professional learning space. And again, everything you see here is donated by our JESD community. And since launching in January, we've had 36 separate household appointments booked. You can see there was a huge leap in February because, word started spreading. We've had families book appointments coming back. And what you see on this flyer is what we've been able to provide: clothing, baby, girls, boys, women, men, shoes, baby formula, diapers, canned goods, housewares, sanitary products, toys, and books. And it's been super successful. And every time I meet a family or our family liaisons, we're just super appreciative that they're able to have this resource, and it's accessible. It's close. They can just come to the district office when they're available. So up next is our assets and needs survey for families. This was launched in the fall. There was no hard deadline. It's more so trying to get our families to a 80% participation rate. These are the schools that are potentially interested in applying for the community schools implementation grant next year. And these are the numbers of paper and online surveys that we've received so far. Some of the trends and feedback that we've gotten. I've divided the feedback into the 4 pillars of community schools. So integrated student supports, family and community engagement, collaborative leadership and practices, and extended learning time and opportunities. So I looked at all the comments from the surveys, and these were the top trending sort of responses in relation to or within the 4 pillars of community schools. So these are all the amazing things that are currently going on in our schools that families wanted to celebrate and mention. Next, I'm going to be talking about the grant components. So each site that will be interested in applying for the implementation grant, they will be eventually forming their own advisory council. It could be composed of teachers, staff, community members, parents, students. We really want all stakeholders involved with diverse voices. We've already done a needs and assets assessment for families. We also plan on doing that for staff and students. Budget allocation. So once we are able to identify needs of our community, what do the community partnerships look like? What are the numbers involved? And then coming up with an implementation plan. If we receive these funds, how are we going to implement it? How are we going to be sustainable in this work? Here's the suggested timeline of the implementation grant application. So just a reminder, we are in year 1 of the planning grant. We also have year 2 of the planning grant, but next year we will be ready, our schools will be ready to apply for the implementation grant. And if we get those funds, then they will be rewarded in spring of 2025, okay? So next school year, the implementation grant request for applications will be released by CDE. Throughout the winter months, they're going to be forming and meeting with their advisory councils, making and distributing the assets and needs survey to staff and students, and again, engaging all stakeholders. Coming back from winter break, or a little bit after winter break, just continuing to collect data, hosting those listening sessions, meeting with their advisory council. And then January and February is like where they start to really formulate the implementation plan. Okay, we've identified these needs. What are the numbers? What are the price tags? How are we going to be sustainable in this work? Who's going to be able to do this work? Who do we need to hire, et cetera? And they're going to develop a budget that includes all schools. So every school, I think it was 9 that you saw, every school will fill out an application. So I'll be busy in the fall, to say the least. And then February 2025 is when the application is due. And then we will find out, hopefully in May, of May 2025 if we were able to receive grant funding or not. What's coming next? Again, assets and needs survey. We're for staff and students in the fall. I plan on hosting community listening sessions. Again, more storytelling, more street data, listening to our families and our students about what they need. What are some of the barriers they face to their family or their child thriving in our district? Again, I mentioned the Second Harvest Food Bank at Garden Village and possibly Westlake after their construction projects are done. More partnerships with community orgs and continuing to work on the implementation grant application. Also, what's to come is we are partnering again with Daly City Partnership, our core service agency. They are currently doing a community call for backpacks and school supplies, and they plan on hosting a back to school drive sometime in the fall, I think around August, and that our JESD families can participate in. So if you have any backpacks or school supplies you'd like to donate, you can bring them here to the district office or you can drop them off at Daly City Partnership. And I've put it out to the district newsletter. Oftentimes I'm able to come out to the sites and pick up donations myself and bring them back to the bungalow and, put them in the closet and arrange them and such. So I just wanted to do a quick plug on that as well. And that's all I have for you tonight. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Santos. Do we have any questions or comments?
Glad to have you back.
Thank you.
No, I've
Glad
said
to be
this
back.
to you before. Love the presentation. I remember back in the day we had John's Closet at Ben Franklin.
Yes.
And to see that initiative and that effort grow, because that had a lot of traffic too, with families needing it. But I love how you've expanded what you're offering to families based on the needs that you're seeing now. And I love that our district is doing that and that it's being facilitated and that there's thought of how you can do more. I love the partnership with other community orgs because I will say Daly City Partnership, I love them. It's always like they're at the forefront. But the intentionality around ensuring that there's more partners and building other allies, because a lot of times people don't know that effort is being lifted. So I appreciate the intentionality around that and commend your efforts, the team's efforts. And I want to throw my org in there, my nonprofit, and let us know how we can help. I was going to say we were going to do our backpack drive this summer, but I will tell you I'd rather throw our support to you. Because I see it happening right here. And so just want to say thank you. It feels good to see what's happening in our district.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Brief comment. Thank you for the presentation. My day job has been in nonprofit fundraising. I've worked for 20 years to try to raise money for nonprofits, but I contend that, schools, people do not think of public schools of everything that they do for the community. And, hunger, clothing, health and sanitary, mental health, immigrant services, school supplies, all things you spoke about as, we're providing and making available as with our schools as a hub. So thank you for that work. And I'm really encouraged that we're getting some recognition and hopefully support through the community schools program. Thank you.
Thank you. And I forgot to mention, because you were listing all those sectors, healthcare. So today I went on a tour at Overfelt High School in San Jose, and I plan on going to another tour tomorrow in Hayward. And I'm looking at school-based health centers. How can we create wellness centers where we can have vaccinations, immunizations, vision, dental in our district, like have physical buildings? So lots of freedom dreaming that I'm excited to engage with. And a lot of community partners are willing to bring that here to our district. Thank you.
Well, I sure hope you're busy in February of that year, because that means our schools are actually applying. And so that's what I really want to plug is. So I currently work at a community school in San Francisco. And so it's just the amount of support is unmatchable. I've never worked at a school in San Mateo County with that kind of support. So principals, if you're out there and listening, you all should definitely apply. And then I also wanted to ask how, if you ever need something from your board, or if you let us know when your events are, maybe an email plug from the superintendent or Pam's newsletter. If you ever hear about things, let us know, because I know all of us are dedicated community members, and we just need to know when. And most of us have the time to come out and help. So just let us know how we can support.
Thank you so much. Absolutely.
Thank you for that presentation. It's amazing to see how things have evolved. The only question that I have is, I know I asked this a couple months ago, and you sent out Superintendent McCulloch the way to sign up for volunteering at the food banks. Is that still going to be the same, even though we're moving to different locations?
Yeah. So, oh, go ahead. Oh, yeah. So, every distribution, every upcoming distribution I send out, it is a unique link through Second Harvest Food Bank. So you can say, you can click on the website and go to I Want to Volunteer, and you can look for the site you'd like to volunteer at. So whether it's Policita or in the fall, it's going to be Garden Village, but every distribution has a unique sign up link.
So the link I sent you was to get you to the website so you could say, I want to volunteer.
Okay.
So you can go to that and then click on that to find which one you want to volunteer for.
Got it. And so if it's a unique link, though, will that website have the updated links for the new options, or is it if I sign up originally for, just I want to be a volunteer, I have to get another link for that specific? I just want to make sure that I'm not using like the link for the one you
I
sent.
believe the link I gave you goes to the main website,
Yeah.
and then that's what you click on to get to the unique link. So the one I gave you will always be the one to go to first.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, so Superintendent McCulloch sends out the general link. What I send out to our families, reminding them of the distribution info, is the unique link, just so it's a little easier for them to access. But you can always click that general link if you want to volunteer. Perfect. And we'd love for you to volunteer.
Thank you. And then the only other question that I had, and you kind of answered it, well, actually, the last slide before this
Yeah.
with the back to school drive, it wasn't in our packet originally. Is there a way that we could send this out too? Because I would love
Has been
to.
sent out, right? It's in our. It's
It's
going to
in
be
the
in our
updated-
newsletter. It's going to be sent out.
Okay, perfect.
In multiple formats on our social media, right? In our newsletter, and it's also sent out email to families. Is that
Yes,
correct?
correct.
So we usually try to do it in multiple ways in multiple formats.
Got it. Perfect. Because this one is coming up, and I actually do this with my work. We actually do backpacks, and we put like things in depending on the grade levels. And so I would like to understand, like, do you, what grade levels need it most? I don't know if you guys have that information, because if we have a lot for, I'm just making this up here, but if we have everything for first graders, do we want to stop and maybe get it towards the upper levels? And how does that work?
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie, for reminding me. Like unisex backpacks, neutral colors are preferred. We've had quite a mix this year. We've had middle schoolers needing backpacks, but also elementary, kindergarten, like the smaller backpacks, lunch bags. A lot of our families need lunch bags, insulated lunch bags. School supplies is always a necessity. So I would say out of the care closet, children's clothing and school supplies and backpacks and like food, diapers, baby formula has been the most checked out or distributed from our care closet. So all ages for backpacks, any school supplies, neutral colors preferred, and lunch bags. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I just want to mention that I enjoyed seeing the collaboration with all the different Daly City school districts for that immigration resource night. We have to think outside the box, so to speak, when we think about community, because there's so much overlapping between here and Pacifica, even South City, Brisbane. So I'm glad to see that you're in contact with all those people and working closely with the Daly City Partnership Collaborative. So thank you.
And we're already meeting for this coming year, 2024 Immigrant Resource Night. And we're bringing in San Mateo County Office of Immigration Affairs and just other community partners, just adding to the collaborative effort. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right.
Item 8E, 2023-24 Jefferson Elementary School District Demographic Report. The administration recommends acceptance of the 23-24 Jefferson Elementary School District Demographic Report by Schoolworks.
Yes, so I'm going to ask our representative from Schoolworks to come up and go through the presentation. We commissioned Schoolworks to do a demographic study to just take a look at our facilities and enrollment to see kind of where our district is right now and what the needs are, and just to start the conversation.
Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to present this evening. And we have done work with the district over the years, and so very familiar with the schools and the boundaries. And so we're here to update you on what the enrollment projections look like. And we'll start with a little bit of an overview of the process we use and the data we collect to do our work. This graphic here just illustrates all the different sources of data and analysis that we do. Again, the three key components in there are really looking at what's happening with development, what's happening with the number of children being born each year, and then understanding how the trends look within your schools as we progress from year to year. Is the population growing or declining and things like that? And again, we do it all in a computerized mapping system. This map here just shows you a quick view of the school district and its boundary area, and all the red dots represent students. Again, we have multiple years of data in there for seeing how things change over time. This map here illustrates your school boundaries. We do our analysis for each school based on their boundary. And then, of course, after that boundary analysis is done, then we account for all the transfers that take place, because not every student goes to the school for the boundary they live in. So one of the key components in trying to do projections is trying to understand our incoming students into our schools. And now that starts with the TK grade, which is our 4-year-olds. This program started off with just 3 months of births being eligible to attend that program. And now it's been expanding the last couple of years and will continue to expand the next 2 years. And so that's why we're seeing a slight increase in those numbers. By 2025, all 4-year-olds will be eligible to attend the TK program. And so this chart here just shows how those numbers are anticipated to increase. Of course, there's a lot of marketing, perhaps, that needs to be considered, because again, it's something new. It's not something that we had when we were kids. And so making sure the community is aware of that new opportunity is something that we've seen. When the better you are at sharing the information, the more enrollment we've seen in our different responding clients throughout the state that we work in. So then the other part is looking at kindergarten. Again, this one now we have a more holistic perspective, because this program's been consistent over time. And so what we're showing here in blue is our historic enrollment in kindergarten. And we can see that those numbers have been dropping year after year after year. In yellow, we're showing what our projections are for the next 4 years. And that's because we have that much birth data to work from. The blue line running across the top of the page shows the number of children born each year that generate our kindergarten classes. Now, of course, we don't have a great correlation or capture rate, because the birth data provided is by zip code information, and whereas your district enrollment obviously is based on your district boundaries. And so we don't always have a great correlation when it comes to boundaries versus zip codes. But that's this type of data we have to work with. And we do see the number of births has been dropping. It's the same with our statewide numbers. Statewide, we used to have about 600,000 births per year. And these last 2 years, we've been down to about 420,000 births statewide. So again, the numbers have dropped, and we've seen a corresponding drop in the number of births in the Bay Area region. So this one provides, I think, a little bit better visual of the data when it comes to how things are changing over time. The green bars represent your current enrollment by grade level for the school year we're just wrapping up. So we can see we have a lot more 7th and 8th graders than we do in our younger grades. The blue line on this chart represents how many students were in that grade when it started kindergarten. And so we can see when we look at our kindergarten, our 1st grade, 2nd grade, that our current enrollment pretty well correlates with what our starting kindergarten enrollment was. But when we look at the upper grades, there's a gap. And so we've lost some students over time. Now we know a part of that was a shift and a drop that occurred during the pandemic. And so we've done our best to account for that anomaly that occurred. And so the numbers are a little more stable now. And so we anticipate that we should be closer to our current enrollment in our upper grades compared to our starting enrollments. But even so, when we're having, between 400 and 500 students, when you look at our kindergarten, 1st, 2nd grade classes, compared to the 600 students we currently have in our middle schools, if they went up with only 500 or eventually down to 400 as those kindergarten numbers are continuing to drop, that is what's creating a decline in enrollment. This one, again, for those that like looking at the numbers, this does show the cohorts, and we do see a lot of negative numbers between the 2020 and 2021 October data. But then when we look at the last 2 years, we get a lot more stable numbers. There's always going to be some ups and downs. It's just the reality of how mobility works. But again, the numbers have been much more stable the last 2 years. But we're just, the key source of the decline is just the incoming students compared to those that were graduating. Again, we do factor in new developments. How we look at that is, again, we find out who's building and where they're building and when we anticipate them to build. So we have all sorts of different conversations with the planning departments and the developers. We anticipate, somewhere between 500 and 600 new homes to be built over the next 6 years. There's about 2,200 on the books. So it's likely that number could be higher. Again, it could be lower. It really depends on the housing market. As interest rates are currently at a high point compared to our recent history, we've seen the market running a little slow, even though the need for housing remains high. And so it will be interesting to watch the market as it develops over the next year or two. So for those housing units, how does that generate students? We look at our census data because it's the most accurate source of data we have. And so back in 2020, we looked at the total number of housing units within your district boundary compared to how many students live in your district boundary. That's where we generated about 0.2 students per home. And so for our projections, we're using 0.18, so a little bit lower factor to be conservative. And also because a lot of the analysis we've seen, again, throughout the Bay Area, with the higher the housing prices have reached, typically it generates a lower yield rate. And it just makes, there's a little bit of common sense to that just because of the affordability issue. So we put all that information together. This is our sort of high level overview. The orange is representing our elementary grades and the green is representing our middle school grades. And so we're showing 10 years of historic data and then 6 years into the future. And so we could see that big drop that happened during the pandemic, and then the projected continuing decline, again, is as we see fewer incoming students in comparison to those we graduate. So until the birth decline stabilizes or rebounds, that's going to be the trend. And again, we only have, let's said, 3 to 4 years of data for those incoming 4 and 5-year-olds. And so when we get out to years 4, 5, and 6, those projections have a lot less accuracy than the short-term projections. And then, of course, the other big factor that can create a change in the trends over time is what happens with housing prices and the number of homes being built. So if that escalates or we start seeing better yield rates, then that can create a change over time. But again, a lot of times those factors don't change overnight. That's more of a long-term issue. And so our full report has a lot more details of information. We have maps for every school boundary that shows where the students live and where they're attending school, and charts that show those attendance patterns. And then for each school, we also generate a detailed enrollment projection so that we'll show the historic data, who lives in the boundary, who attends, what the school capacity is, and the enrollment projection by grade level for the next 6 years. We do provide an attendance matrix, so if you're curious and really diving into the details of looking at where students live versus where they go to school, right? Sometimes there are schools that have some special programs that attract more students than other schools. And so again, all the details are there for your review. We always like to illustrate the information here that shows the red bars is our current enrollment by school, and whereas the blue is how many students live in the boundary. And so if there becomes a situation where there's an imbalance, then obviously we can start considering boundary adjustments. But the key issue here is really to focus on how is our equity in terms of school sizes. And so if we have a school that's much larger than the others or much smaller than the others, it becomes visually apparent on this type of a chart. And then we always wrap our reports up with a utilization chart. And again, the key focus here is when we're looking out 6 years into the future, are we seeing any of our schools that are becoming overcrowded and we need to take some action? And obviously with a decline, we wouldn't think there would be an issue, and we're showing here there isn't an issue. But just because you're having a decline, you know, if all those 2,000 homes were being built just in one school area, right, over time there would be some challenges for that individual campus. But the developments that we are aware of are spread out. It impacts all 3 middle schools, or 3 of the middle schools. And so again, it's not all concentrated in one school area. And with that, that's our presentation. And so I'd love to be able to interact with you and answer any questions you have.
All right, thank you so much. Do we have any questions or comments from board members? We'll start on this. No. Yes.
Thank you for the presentation. And yeah, I read the full report. It is sobering in some sense just to see, you know, the trends, and that our overall population, you know, school age population is going down, and grappling with what that means. And my question, you know, to you and maybe for the district is, what additional resources might be available for dealing with these changes? These are obviously things that are occurring statewide. They're an issue for districts across California. What is the state of California doing to help school districts cope with some of these changes? What are best practices? You know, I would be interested in what's out there that other districts have taken advantage of. And then I would ask our district to, I think we should be studying those things and looking proactively at what resources might be available to help with some of the changes that may be coming.
Yeah, great question. Obviously, when you're dealing with declining enrollment, that creates budget challenges because you're based on the students that are enrolled, and not just enrolled, that are in the seats. And so the one factor I know that the state looks at and that applies and that you're already aware of is that your annual funding is based on a look at not just your current enrollment, but it does look at your last couple of years. And so it sort of, when you're declining, we can still bank a larger funding based on enrollment from a prior year. But still, as those prior years continue to drop, the funding will continue to drop. It's just, it gives you a little bit of a window there. So it's, whereas a charter school, right, is funded based on current year data, they don't have that luxury of using historic data. So that's, again, that's one of the tools the state has provided because they're aware of many of the districts in a declining state. Other programs become available and typically announced as part of the state budget. Given the state's current budget situation, I doubt we'll see many opportunities for any type of relief. Again, but we always have to look through that in detail, and you'll get information typically through your different agencies about what new funding opportunities may come about. Just like we had all those COVID dollars to help with the loss of learning after the pandemic.
Yeah, just to follow up on Mr. Reynolds' answer, at the May 22nd board meeting, I'll be going over the May revision of the governor's budget. So with that being said, that's where we'll have more information about the state's budget and what he's leaning towards for his budget for 24-25.
And what we're seeing right now is our enrollment has kind of flatlined. We're not seeing the decline the last 2 years. We're hoping that that is a pattern for us, because this is a prediction. What we're seeing is a lot of families are moving in, immigrant families that are coming at different grade levels. So we might not see it in the kinder, but we'll see it in other grades increasing. But it is something to look at. What we're doing is right now currently looking at our staffing and making sure we're staffed to the students that we serve. And then we just need to pay attention to, how we utilize our facilities and, try to, if there are students out there, maybe going to private schools or going, they're leaving our district to go to outside districts, that, making our school a welcoming, engaging, safe school district that people want to come to. So those are ways to increase our enrollment. And then, we want to make sure that we're maximizing the services that we provide and making sure that, the smaller schools, we need to make sure that they're supported as well, and dividing up our resources at different school sites too. So maybe consolidating programs and things like that. So that's something we'll need to look at in the future. But we also know that our enrollment so far has been flatline. We kind of leveled out. And so, each year we'll see, is this what our new enrollment is and where we are, or is it going to continue to decline like the birth rate is predicting? So it'll be kind of a wait and see, but be prepared. And we'll look into state resources, and because this is, not just our problem, it's the whole state problem too. So we'll be looking into that as well. We just wanted tonight to share with you the status of our district, and thank you for doing all of the work with the demographic study.
Okay, I want to make a comment. So Trustee Rashba, I hear your question, and if we can't wait on the state, we're dealing with the state. That's a shell game. We're just getting money that's already ours, either ahead of time or we're going to get deferred. Either way, it's our money and we're already underfunded. So this is part of what we're doing tonight. Our district already know what's happening. We're trying to get ahead of some more difficult conversations that might happen down the line. Right, so we're getting the information now. So I appreciate this, and I appreciate you. You said you read the full report, right? So I need to have some more conversations with you. But yeah, it's going to be up to us and what we want to do, and we're going to have to put the pressure on these state legislators. I know I might be the only one saying it because I'm not afraid to say it. They're human beings just like us. A lot of us knew them before they ran for their offices, right? They work for us and for them and for all, our families and our students. So we need to see them, and we need to see something better than what we've been seeing, right? So that's why you're asking that question. We don't know what they're doing. So we have a blessing that our superintendent is doing it in this professional and structured way, but it's going to get ugly. from what I'm seeing, it's going to get ugly. So I'm glad we're getting it. Excuse me. I'm glad that we're getting ahead of it. So thank you for that question. All right. Thank you, Mr. Reynolds.
Yeah, we'll just continue to monitor the situation and our enrollment and keep you updated. So this is kind of the first step of keeping you updated in what our projections are looking like.
And just one final comment. There's one extra piece of data that we don't have available to us yet that many of our school boards have asked us for. And so we will be providing a supplemental, probably just be a one-page update, probably this fall, once I get that final piece of data from the census. And the question that's typically asked is, right, how many children actually live in our district in comparison to how many are enrolling in our schools? And so again, we don't have that data yet, but we will have a good point of reference for that information soon. And so then we'll be able to compare your district right to what the standard is. And it's normally, because you have to consider charter schools out there and private schools, it's normally about 80% of the population is enrolled in the traditional public schools. But again, all that new data will be coming out soon. And so we'll provide that. Again, no extra charge. Just it's going to be a useful reference point because again, right, are the private schools or charter schools having more of an impact on your local district than they are in other districts, whether you compare to the Bay Area or statewide. And so that'll be a great tool for you to see if you need to do more marketing amongst your community and talk about all the great things happening at your schools.
Excuse me. Thank you. Item 9E, certificated personnel, administrative appointments. The administration recommends ratification of the following administrative appointments. Aubrey Duffy, principal of FDR, effective July 18th, 2024. Brian Bethel, principal of MHT, effective July 18th, 2024. And Christina Sanchez. Oh, okay. Got you. Oh, after Christina. Okay. Christina Sanchez, principal of Thomas Edison, effective July 18th. You see, I'm skipping certain things. Like the money. All right. And Danny Chu, principal of JFK, effective July 18th, 2024. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second, and this is a voice vote. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that's unanimously approved. Congratulations. So
And-
do you want to just have them all come up
Yeah,
and
we have-
then speak one at a time?
Sure. Why don't we go down the order of Aubrey, Brian, Christina, and Danny? That order? Aubrey?
Hi, good evening. My name is Aubrey Duffy. I'm currently the Dean at FDR, and I've been in JESD since 2016. It is with great humility and deep gratitude that I stand before you this evening. I'm honored to accept the role of principal at FDR K-8. I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to everyone who played a part in making this opportunity possible. First and foremost, I want to thank the board for placing your trust in me with this appointment. The responsibility of leading this school is one I do not take lightly, and I'm committed to making FDR a place where every student can thrive. I want to also acknowledge Mr. Higgins, the current principal, who has been a remarkable mentor to me. His guidance, wisdom, and support have shaped my journey in educational leadership, and I am grateful for all that he has taught me about being an excellent principal. To the cabinet, I'm grateful for this opportunity to lead FDR. I look forward to collaborating with you to ensure our school's continued success. I know that by working together, we can achieve great things. Lastly, I want to express my excitement about continuing to work with the FDR community. I'm honored to work alongside educators who are passionate about student achievement and dedicated to providing the best learning environment possible. I'm eager to support our students as they strive to reach their full potential. Thank you once again for this incredible opportunity. I look forward to leading with integrity, fostering a positive school culture, and working with all of you to ensure the success of FDR. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to just start by saying thank you all for being here and everybody at home that's watching. This is my 16th or 17th year in education in the Bay Area. I've been to a multitude of school districts, and since the minute I started working in Jefferson Elementary School District, it's felt very familial. It's been like a great welcoming family that I felt a part of from my first day. From administration that I've got to work with, and board members, and seeing you out at the community and events, and with our district officials here that I get to work with quite often and partner with as thought partners and co-presenters and planning professional development. So I just wanted to start by echoing my gratitude for all of that and just that sense of family that this district really has. With that, I'm honored to be leading the Tobias community, a very dedicated set of staff, support staff, educators, students, and families. I'm very excited about this opportunity, and I know together we're going to strive to uphold the highest academic integrity that the school already has and build upon that by making sure that all voices are heard and everybody has a chance to voice their concerns and work together to strengthen the community as we lead forward in this district and with our students that we have. I'm committed to, sorry, I'm a little nervous. It wasn't until I got up here. I'm committed to fostering that open communication and that sense of belonging. It's something I've been working on in the middle schools, and I really want to bring that in our elementary schools. I know that already exists in a lot of places, but just really, deep diving into that and making sure that all of our community feels like they're welcome at our school sites and that they have this sense of belonging while they're at our elementary schools and also as they move forward. So I want to work on and continue to build that sense of community. I have notes, I swear. Just express again my gratitude for this opportunity and know that I have the support of the people in this room and at home. And I'm really, really grateful for all the opportunities this district has afforded me, and as well as our students and our families. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Christina Sanchez. I am the current VP at Thomas R. Policita, and I'm going to be the principal of Thomas Edison. I know I'm going to get that mixed up at some point. Good evening, esteemed members of the JESD School Board and Cabinet. Hello to my family at home watching. I want to express my sincerest thank you for entrusting me with the position of principal at Thomas Edison Elementary School. It is truly an honor to have been chosen to lead such a remarkable community, and I am deeply humbled by the confidence you have placed in me. I have worked in this district for 12 years. I taught at George Washington for 7, Ben Franklin at 2, before becoming the dean and vice principal at TRP. And pretty soon I could say principal of Thomas Edison. I want to take a moment to pay tribute to the extraordinary leadership of Mrs. Riza Bell. I have big shoes to fill, but I know that her legacy will continue to inspire me as I embark on this new chapter. I also want to express my heartfelt gratitude to Megan Jennings and Ben Turner for their invaluable mentorship and guidance, their willingness to provide me with leadership opportunities, seek my input, and place trust in my abilities has been instrumental in shaping my journey and equipping me with the necessary leadership skills and experiences to excel in this role. Thomas Edison is such an inspiring community of students, educators, and families, and I am so grateful to be a part of that incredible community. Thank you for affording me the opportunity to continue to grow, to be both a leader and a learner as I step into the role of principal. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Mikulik, AC. First, I want to say thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to. My name is Danny Chu. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be the next principal of JFK. For those of you who don't know me, I am a Daly City kid. Every time I've been appointed to a new district or a new position, I always introduce myself and say I'm from a city down in the peninsula that no one really knows. And I don't have to say that anymore because I'm really happy to say that because my brother and I both grew up in this city. We went to George Washington as kids. I was part of the inaugural class at Susan B. Anthony, went on to TRP, and then went on to Jefferson Union High School District. So this is a very happy homecoming for me. I don't take it very lightly. I also recognize that 3 of the 4 principals are people who have already worked in this district, and I am the first outsider. So you are putting that trust in me to make sure that I uphold the values of our community and of our district. And I want you to know that I take that very seriously. And that I'm here to serve and be of service. So thank you again. I hope to do right by our kids because I'm only here because the people before me gave me a shot to be here, right? This district gave a lot back to me. And when I became a teacher and administrator first, I went to Jefferson Union High School District. I did that for almost 10 years. So now I'm come back to serve at Jefferson Elementary. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Who would like to speak first?
If I can just say one thing, I want to thank everybody. And we had a real robust process to interview and recruit. We had over 10 candidates that we ended up bringing in, plus those that we decided at this point not to interview. And the fact that they pulled it off and went through the panel so well, I'm just really happy to have them on board.
Yes. Well, I just wanted to say that, you know, a lot of us work, well, we know people in the other districts in North County or even the whole county, but definitely North County. And I teach in another district. So I happen to know that there's principal positions that are going unfilled in other districts, even for like a whole school year, you know. So to know that we had multiple applicants for all those positions and we filled them right away like that is a testament to our district, our administrators, and our whole community, and that people want to be here. So when I hear the narrative about people leaving, I'm always asking and pushing back like, well, that might be anecdotal, but I know people want to be here. So keep it up, everybody. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? No? Okay. All right. Okay.
10C.
Moving fast now. Item 10C, Personnel Commission's annual report. Mr. Brent Marquez Valenti, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, will present the annual report and provide an overview of the Personnel Commission's function in the district.
Thank you, trustees. Thank you, members of the community and folks here in the building. I want to go over our 2023 JESD Personnel Commission Annual Report. Which button is it? There we go. Just a little background about Jefferson Elementary School District. We are a merit school district in which we have in a merit system, we have rules and procedures that are embedded in the Constitution of the state of California and the Ed Code, which govern how we work with classified school personnel. That management system grew out of the civil service system and calls for the appointment of personnel commissioners. In Jefferson Elementary School District, we have 3 personnel commissioners who are here, of course, tonight. I'll be introducing them in a moment. One of our commissioners represents the employee unit, California School Educators Association, CSEA. That's Mr. Dennis Shreve, who's served as the chairperson in 2023, and his appointment will go through November 30th, 2026. Mr. Shreve, would you like to just stand up and be recognized? Then we have Mr. Wallace Moore, who represents the Board of Trustees on the Personnel Commission. Mr. Moore was appointed initially in March of 2019 and served as the vice chair in 2023. He was reappointed to his most recent term, recently, that goes through November of 2024. Mr. Wallace, Mr. Moore. And I believe she's our longest serving commissioner, Ms. Reyes, who represents the two fellow commissioners. Ms. Reyes, her term goes through November 2025. And I just want to thank my colleagues here, the commissioners. We meet once a month and we have a very tight relationship, and it's really nice to have them and work with them in my capacity as Director of Classified Personnel when I work with them. So thank you. The purpose of the Personnel Commission, the fundamental purpose is to ensure that employees are selected, promoted, and retained on the basis of their merit and the fitness. Merit, fitness, what does that mean? Well, merit is determined by competitive examinations. We have regular competitive examinations for our classified personnel. And we want to make sure that the positions and the duties assigned to those positions and responsibilities, that the compensation is fair. And so it's like pay for like work. So we always make sure we review that and take that into consideration when looking at our positions. The service, the the Personnel Commission makes sure that the service rules and the selection and retention of employees is fair and promotional opportunities and training are available. Other main responsibilities, like I mentioned, is just ensuring the selection, retention, and promotion of classified employees based upon merit and their fitness for service to prevent nepotism and insider type of appointments. We work and prescribe and make sure the rules in which we are bound by in hiring, both by Ed Code and the Personnel Commission rules, are enforced. One of our main, if not our main responsibility of the commissioners and my work with them is to establish eligibility lists. As I discussed in my last year's presentation, permanent employees in the classified service must be hired off of eligibility lists that are determined through rankings, and the commissioners themselves make sure they review those as well as affirm those eligibility lists. We look at classification plans and make sure that the salary and competitive in comp districts are similar. So if we have to go and negotiate items with our classified personnel as well, we're looking at apples and apples. Additionally, they establish minimum qualifications for jobs, allocate salary ranges for the classification, identify and assign the top job titles to those positions, establish and maintain the classification plan, and classify positions. And this is a big one, and I just want to put it out there because not a lot of folks know about what the Personnel Commission does, because not every school district is a merit district. We're one of three: us, South City, and the County Office of Education. Those are the three merit districts in the county. But if there is an issue where there is a disciplinary issue that comes to the board, all classified members have the right to appeal, and they can appeal it to the Personnel Commission. And the commissioners can override a board decision, whether that's completely or change it. If a person does not appeal to the board or to the Personnel Commission, the board's decision stands. But that's a key component of the work they do. Also, that making sure, what I do is I make sure that I receive and review all employment applications. I eliminate unqualified applicants or underqualified applicants, and make sure that the examination procedures and we conduct the examinations in a regular, efficient manner. Our first goal of 2023 was maintaining the efficient personnel operations, which was to fully implement electronic recruitment and the process of new employees and substitutes. There's a lot of paper in HR, and there's a lot, we're really trying to come down on that paper usage and use online platforms for that. Also expanding the use of virtual interview platforms such as Google Meet or Zoom to expedite the development of eligibility lists. Oftentimes we have people that want the positions, but we can't hire them until the eligibility lists are set and approved by the commissioners. Again, in my role as Director of Classified Personnel, I make sure I work with my colleagues in HR, our HR specialists, Lisa Sue, and HR Assistant Clarinda Lauderdale, in our bi-monthly meetings to make sure we improve the testing and hiring efficiency, because that is something I hear often from my peers, is that, hey, Brent, we've got to make sure we get these eligibility lists out more quickly. We also want to provide for classified staff development, and that includes these particular items, making sure we give them an opportunity to work with our adopted curriculum, strategies for working with our English learners, supporting students with special needs, and these other items listed. I don't need to read them all for you. Additionally, working with local universities such as San Francisco State, City College, Skyline, to providing financial incentives for our classified staff to go back and get their AAs or get their BAs and make their way up into the teaching service as well. We've been working with several of our classified folks on that. In maintaining recruitment selection systems based on merit principles, we want to make sure we get out there and go to recruitment fairs, both virtual and in person, to find, not only to broaden our candidate pool, because it has been more difficult recently to find candidates, but to find qualified candidates that can pass our tests and meet our eligibility requirements. And some of those recruitments also, I've done more work working with EdJoin, Indeed, we've all heard of. Also Government Jobs is governmentjobs.com, and then CASBO, which is for the school business officials, but they have a career posting. I did mention about our use of online onboarding and updating the proficiency and content area tests. That was something in our negotiations. A lot of our tests were outdated. Some of the information on there wasn't really reflecting what the employee would be doing in their position. So we've been going through them very intentionally to update those, and also using, just freshening them up. Some of the tests are quite old. Working with our unions as well as the commissioners to train administrators and classified employees on the optional self-evaluation procedures to identify goals and the accomplishments of those classified employees. We have multiple measurements that are outlined in our contract. We also provide new classified employees with annual professional development to support their particular classification, as well as inviting them to our professional development during the school year. We have begun a process of conducting empathy interviews with not only site supervisors and CSEA leadership, but unit members to get them to help us understand a little bit better the support they need so we can provide that support. It's been actually getting a lot of traction. I know Superintendent McCulloch has been working quite a bit. Folks have reached out to her. Goals 5 and 6, primarily updating rules and regulations. This is the rules and regulations of the Personnel Commission. It's a whole other document than the contract. It's much more specific and outlines quite clearly. It gives us a roadmap on how to operate classified HR. And developing better lines of communications, making sure that we inform our site and district administrators of any pertinent information discussed at our commission meetings, which happen on the first Tuesday of each month at 4 p.m. We visit three schools every year. I think it was, what was it, Monday? We just went to George Washington, General Pershing, and Woodrow Wilson to meet with some of our classified staff. And continue to meet monthly and regularly to get with our president of CSEA, Mr. Wes Cole. I meet more frequently than monthly with him, just to keep an open dialogue. A few years back also, well, this is the wrong one. So we had something about where we wanted to have a joint meeting with the board. So we brought everybody in. So we can always do that should that be a desire of the board, or might be something the commissioners might request. Again, just continuing with other goals, our maintenance of an effective classification plan to monitor compliance with the commission's classification plan and compensation study to make sure we're in step with other districts. Obviously, applying the rules and regulations in a fair, consistent, and uniform manner. And like I just mentioned, joint meetings with the governing board as needed. These are some of our highlights over the year. I'm going to give you a moment just to take a look at that. And finally, just want to thank the people that serve on our interview panel. So as part of the process to rank and develop eligibility lists, we have to have, to the extent possible, external folks that work in the different content areas or classifications come and do an oral panel for part of the ranking. So we get folks from all over the county, former employees here with the district, and occasionally we have to bring in one of our current employees because it's difficult. It's an important process. And here are some other folks that have helped us. So I'm open to questions. I want to make sure I mind the time as well.
Do you have any questions? Okay, I have one, but you can go.
Actually, I just had a couple comments. Continue goal 2. Love goal 2. Also, I'm really happy to hear about empathy interviews. It's good to see that we're exercising what we're talking about with our kids, with our adults as well. And that's it. Thank you so much for your report.
Yeah, thank you. So my comment is it was great seeing some of those names, familiar names up there. Also, can you give us just a quick example of like pay for like work?
We have in our classification of instruction. So there's instructional assistant PE, instructional assistant, just the plain instructional assistant. Then you have instructional assistant special ed. So I'm going to use a comparison of special ed versus instructional assistant special ed versus special circumstance instructional assistant. Both of them essentially make the same baseline, but because the SCIAs, special circumstance, they have built into their job description toileting. The special ed instructional assistants don't have that built in. There was a stipend in the past, and if you added that stipend, they're actually making the same hourly rate. They're doing much of the same work. They're working with many of the same kids. So that was an example where the toileting particular job duty, no pun intended, was part of the was not part of the base job description. We also base the like pay is based on folks' education. So we have library technicians and instructional technicians who earn a little bit more because they have more education. Similar to our instructional assistants preschool, they're required to have a certain amount of early childhood education units. So those things will bump up one's salary or hourly wages. But those are some of the things that I think refer to that.
So usually, so do we have any situations that we need to address that?
Which the like salary for the like work or the particular?
Yeah, the like
comparison?
work for like pay.
I'm going to say yes. I
And
think
so
it comes up.
And when it comes up, it's usually to bump someone up.
Yes, I think the, the most difficult situation we had in years past is as we transitioned from hiring special ed instructional assistants and then moving into special circumstance instruction, there was a window where people could step over, but certain people didn't want to do the toileting component. And so after that window closed, we did do a couple of outreaches to try to pull people back over. But inevitably, people either didn't get the message or chose not to do it. And I work with West Pole pretty closely, and certainly the commissioners, when those issues come up. But it's more of on a case-by-case basis than anything.
Okay. Well, thank you for you three getting into the details and the weeds so that we don't have to. And I appreciate Mr. Valenti for navigating all of that system. There's things I feel about it that we could talk about later, but thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Wonderful. So item 11A, Board Study Session, CSBA and ACSA 2024 Washington, D.C. Coast to Coast Federal Advocacy Trip. And board member Manufo Liana Anoa'i will highlight some of the learning as well as give a report about her attendance at the California School Boards Association trip.
Thank you, President Ali. I was trying to find my notes, but I, like Trustee Jordan, wanted to share too. We had an amazing trip to CSBA, coast to coast, but I had shared with the superintendent that we had received an advisory as we were coming home that there was some cases of COVID in our delegation. And I, being just unfortunately susceptible to a whole bunch of things, I ended up having severe flu for 4 weeks now. And I have family members who are still home from that. So just want to continue to remind people to be safe. So I was impacted by that. But I want to say that the highlight of this trip for me were a few things. But first, the fact that we go to our county Office of Ed board gatherings here and being able to do that there was very different for me. And I found that very interesting because I'm sitting with some of the same people, but for whatever reason, we were having different conversations in Washington, D.C. And we also actually all shared that. And I share that to say that I saw a level of leadership I hadn't seen since I've been on this board, just the cohesion when we were sitting in front of Congressman Kevin, our congressperson, Kevin Mullen, and the fact that we actually got together in just a matter of minutes, some of us, and were able to rally together and present to him some of the initiatives and the needs that we see that we'd like for him to address here in our county. I found to be a very profound experience for me. The level of advocacy that I hope he heard, and I appreciate his leadership, but I also loved his honesty in showing that he was still green around some of the subjects we were bringing to him, and that there was an openness to discuss what we felt about teacher shortage and how we are in our districts being creative and highlighting the things that we're doing. And to be honest, when I had shared what we're doing here specifically, he had pointed me to Stephanie, his aide, who I've been in touch with, which I was happy because we were sharing some of the things that were happening, and he was confusing us with the high school district. And I said, no, that's actually at Jefferson Elementary School District that we're doing all of those things. So I want to say that that was a highlight for me, but I also appreciated seeing some of the leadership. We saw some of we saw Barbara Lee in action. We got to see her front and center, and to see that leadership outside of seeing her on TV, but have her sit in a seat and knowing that she's speaking for us was another forever moment for me. Seeing her leadership on the ground when I was a young girl, but to see her sit amongst colleagues and making decisions for us here right in the Bay Area, I don't think we would have been able to have that experience attending our CSBA annual education conference, and also meeting some of them, people who sometimes are sitting there being legislators in their own district, but realizing that a lot of the work we do is aligned, but we aren't talking to each other across the state. And so we were able to have conversations in hallways with other board trustees, other advocates from across the country. And there was just this level of connectedness that kept me grounded in this work. And I imagine it's the same for all of you when you engage with partners in education and other spaces that aren't from the bubble that we live in here in the Bay Area. So to hear women and mothers from Atlanta who are advocating, for against gun violence and gun control, and I'm like, hey, we have the same experience, but there is a level of discrimination, level of lack of ownership to hear from the ground that I've been in Oakland, I've been in Berkeley and other spaces and in San Francisco, but it was nice to see that there was a level of alignment, the level of advocacy that I feel I learned. There was a lot of initiatives and bills that were lifted from non-California legislators that they had shared during our group sessions that I appreciated too, because I don't see that at our annual education conference. And I've been able to get exposed to that more outside of CSBA. And I appreciate the work that CSBA does, but what that did for me, it raised the level of awareness that we have so much more to learn outside of the partners that we are engaged in with now. And I want to share that with our superintendent. I know we've had these conversations, but there was a bunch of partners that were shared during the group sessions and even in our breakout sessions. And I'm glad we were separated because we got to go out and meet other people and learn about initiatives. I also appreciated how they explained how we can advocate better and differently. So I know that some of us have done legislative day in Sacramento when we do the March visit. Some of us have gone out, but I loved how they got in depth and they literally mapped out how we can do that as individuals, how we can also share that with our parents better and be more detailed. So I've seen some of that with CSBA. I've seen some of that on the ground, but I love the detail that was shared in this session. I know that it's costly for us to go out to coast, but I will say for whatever reason, people were just much more open to be able to engage. And I'm like, I see you all the time in the Bay, and we've never had these kinds of conversations of advocacy. There was a group that presented that made me proud. A lot of discussion was lifted even from the Secretary of Education's office around after school, community schools, and that was a presentation that we heard tonight. And that totally resonated with me because we both looked across at each other and we said, that's our district. When she's talking, and she's from California, I believe San Diego. And so she's like, I will always advocate for my state here in DC. But they kept talking about the importance of tutoring, intentionality, after school programming, and what districts are doing, and community schools. That was a huge highlight during our time there. And it resonated with me because what I heard today, I sat there proud knowing that this is some of the conversations that people at our tables were having that they do not do. But we walked away saying, that's happening in our district. And so when we were saying that, people started to ask us questions. They were asking about our district. And another highlight for us is when we were talking about our workforce housing, our youth cinema project. People really wanted to have those conversations with us. And so it gave me a lot of pride to know that, yeah, there was a bunch of us from California, but not realizing they had no clue of the wonderful things that are happening here. And that I don't think would have happened, at least my 10 years here at the annual education conference. There was a different vibe. And I'm very grateful to our board for approving that opportunity for us to go. And I look forward to all of you in future sessions to be able to take advantage of it as well. It was a wonderful experience. And I think we should continue to do that and embark in that. And I want to thank President Ali because there's a great picture of him and I need to share it. It should be in the newsletter where he's taken to the mic, where he shifted the conversation, what led to some of that engagement. And he stood up a few times. And I want to just give him a shout out. We left before we even met Nancy Pelosi. So we left to make the bus at that time. But thank you again for the leadership and the forward thinking of ensuring that we can be represented in those spaces. I'm very grateful. And I want to extend my thank you to the Personnel Commission. We don't get to see you all often. But we definitely appreciate the work that you do. Just like President Ali has mentioned, you all handle this for us, and we are partners in this. And I want to thank you and Mr. Valenti for the work that you do. And congratulations again to our new principals that will be installed and officially in motion this summer. Hats off to you. And happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. Excuse me. I don't think we have any speaker cards. No one. Okay. So we'll move on to.
You skipped an agenda
Oh.
item. She actually started it off with the governance team comment. So if you want to
That's true.
continue that.
That's why I kind of looked at. Trustee Rashba.
Great meeting. I just wanted to say happy Teacher Appreciation Week and congratulations to the hardworking teachers, school administrators, nurses, classified staff, and others who are being honored this week. Thank you.
Thank you all for the productive board meeting. Thank you to the community who stayed to watch and really support us. It really it helps us do a better job knowing that you all are out there like helping us just emotionally. And then looking forward to seeing everybody on Friday for our Student of the Year awards.
I echo my fellow board trustee sentiments. I actually forgot to mention earlier that I also attended Garden Village for their literacy day and read books to the students. It was really amazing. Broadmoor Police was there. Some retired teachers came to read to the children, and so I thought that was super awesome. I know I've read at a couple different schools, but I would love to read at all of the schools, so feel free to invite me. I love reading. I actually thought I was, when Nancy Zerner was speaking earlier, I was like, oh, I could be a librarian, but then I was like, okay, no, that's just a thought. I need to focus. So I want to just give a shout out to everyone that was reading at Garden Village a few weeks back. And then I really appreciate the update that you gave Trustee Liega Anuai. I am so sad that I missed that trip, and it sounds like it was an amazing trip and some really thought-provoking conversations were happening. And I look forward to having that opportunity, hopefully here in our own home base, basically building upon everything that you've spoke about earlier today. And also thank you to everyone that presented today. Thank you to Personnel Commission. Thank you to the parent that spoke earlier, and all of the teachers and staff that also spoke earlier. These presentations are super helpful for us to understand what is going on. Even though we get all of this information in advance, it's really great to have you all here speaking in front of us. It really kind of solidifies and puts kind of a bow on what we know is happening in our district.
Thank you. As Trustee Jordan said, I'm also available if you want to invite me to come out and read. You'll remember, I actually picked up 3 children's books when we were in Washington, D.C. So I want to go around and read the one that's called A White House Alphabet. So feel free to invite me to the schools for that as well. I want to reiterate once again, happy Teacher Appreciation Week, and shout out to the student who brought me a burrito, some chips, and a soda today. So I was able to share my lunch with the students, the lunch that I brought. What else? I think that's about it. Superintendent Mikulik.
Yes, I just want to congratulate our new principals. I feel fortunate to have you lead at our schools. I'm looking forward to working with you to continue our vision of welcoming, engaging, safe schools so more students learn more. And I'm thrilled to have you in your new roles, and look forward to starting in July. Also, I want to thank all of our presentations tonight. I think it's really helpful to hear that we just need to, this is work we've been doing, especially with our student services. And you've heard a lot of those presentations, but it's just a reminder that we need to make sure we're continuing the message and getting the word out frequently, because people need to hear things over and over again, and getting it on the website, what we're doing, because we're doing good work. And so I think we just need to continue promoting it. So thank you for that. And then also about our community schools. Just 2 things I want to share. Our peer leadership students at TRP have been actually collaborating with the city of Daly City. Hillside Park is going to convert one of their parks into a magical bridge playground, which is an all-inclusive playground. And so the peer leadership team or students have been going with people from Stanford as well as Safe Routes to School in San Mateo County, seeing examples of the magical bridge playgrounds and giving feedback. I went on a field trip with them last week to go take a look at what are the areas that need improvement to help make it more inclusive. So I want to applaud the peer leadership team at TRP for connecting with the city on that work. I think that's really exciting. And then also on Monday, I'll be going to the state capitol for the legislative session to honor Edward James Olmos for his work in arts and education. I was asked to go and speak at a reception to thank him for his work with our youth cinema project. I also am going to invite him to our film premiere and hope that we can also have a mutually beneficial promotion of our district and the youth cinema project. So I'll be in Sacramento on Monday with our teacher, Rebecca Kawili from MP Brown, who's been the first teacher to take on the youth cinema project in our class. So I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully we'll get him to come to our premiere. We'll see.
And sorry, President Ali, I didn't realize I moved into this segment. I was closing my comments. I just wanted to say I was happy too to see that Rafael was also honored by the Latino Film Institute for his work when he was sitting in that seat as ED for the Youth Cinema Project. So I'd seen that a few days ago and had reached out to him because it was also him that'd been working closely with us and building this in our district. I just wanted to share that so my nonprofit's summer program is being launched on June 12th, and we've always been in a school in our district, and I want to thank the city of Daly City for extending an opportunity to partner with them. And because of that partnership, we will be housed out of the Bayshore Community Center. We will be there this summer, and it is open to everyone. I will say we just opened it up last Thursday, and we're already at 75%. It is a free 6-week program from 8 to 4. Breakfast, lunch, and snack is served. While students will be immersed in a lot of Pacific Islander curriculum, there are other things that will be involved. Some of our high school students will be doing credit recovery, but they will also be learning 3 languages, all Polynesian, but they will also be engaged in history and language arts. While very specific to our Pacific and Oceanic communities, they will still be able to learn. And every Friday we'll be having in the library above, we call it Faitau, which is reading Fridays. So there will be reading by different groups at every level of Pacifica, which is Pacific literature. And we will also be having Pacific Islander authors offering that as well. In that too, there's a lot of programs that will be extended to the community, which will be the ukulele and drumming from pretty big time Grammy Hanoa artists out of Hawaii that are offering their time. And so we want to extend that to all of the community that would like to get some aloha spirit. So it is free and open to our students. We are the only program in the state that does this, and I'm proud that we can continue to leave it here in Daly City. So I want to thank our district for allowing us to continue to do this work in partnership for many years now too. And I'm just very grateful for the work that's being lifted here. I missed a few meetings, but every time I come back, I sit in this space and remain in gratitude. And I want to say I've been getting a lot of positive feedback, seeing a lot of the what's been lifted on our social media handles, and a lot of feedback around that. And I do see the difference, and I think it's amazing that we're also, even what's coming out from both of you when we get our newsletters and updates, weekly updates, it really is making a difference. And I just want to say thank you. I love that we're seeing that growth and us engaging our communities even more this year.
Thank you so much. All right, so we're going to take a 10-minute recess. I know Superintendent McCulloch's like 10 minutes. So 10-minute recess, and then we'll convene to close session in memory of Francisco Ibasan at 9:30. And so we'll take a 1-minute moment of silence and then a recess. Thank you.